Second question is, will my recipe work? So this is important, and I'm going to put my phone down to share this one with you. I want to talk about critical mistake analysis, because as you go through your journey into wellness, you will always have, depending on where you are in that journey, a different perspective on where you are and what you want to accomplish. So this is, you can use this in work, you can use this in diet, exercise, planning a race in Ironman. This works all the time. And I learned this from the IL training industry. If you take critical mistake analysis and you put outcome over here, okay, so we all have in mind what we want the end result to be, okay? If we put our mistakes on the list, and we say cost, we say frequency, and we say trainability, and the 3 H's. Okay, let me explain this. I'll explain this with a story. So when I went to do my first Ironman in 2011, I was 45 years old, and I had trained probably at that point for 7 years to get myself to the point where I had actually physically completed an Ironman race. And there were a number of mistakes that I could have made. Now, at the same time, unbeknownst to me, a gentleman by the name of Mark Westcott from Buffalo, who was also 45 at the time, was packing up his 2 teenage sons and his wife to head down to Louisville to do the same race. And in Louisville, when we got there, I'll do a little map here just to give you a better visual description. In Louisville, what happens is, the start of the race, there's a long dock like this and a bunch of slips. And it's a narrow river that opens up into the Ohio River. So the idea is you line up in the big line, come down the dock, line up in the big line as athletes. It's not one of those mass starts where like 2,000 people jump in the water at once. One by one, you come through this line, you come down the dock, you jump in the water, you start swimming. So right here on the dock is the sheriff's boathouse. And by the time I got here, and I'm going like this, the race is already maybe 5 minutes old, there's lots of people in the water, and I see a sheriff's deputy freaking out. And he's running towards shore. And I'm thinking, okay, there's something going on up in the park. I don't know, it's got nothing to do with me. I'm going to be an Ironman today. And I got into the water, went run down the dock, got into the water, jumped into the water. And as I got to right about here, there are paddle boards all along this waterway, and you're allowed to reach onto the paddle board if you're having a panic attack. It's totally legal. You're not advancing yourself forward in the race, so it's totally fine. And as I was swimming by that point, I noticed there were a whole bunch of people holding on to these paddle boards, thinking to myself, what a bunch of dummies. They didn't train properly, they weren't used to the open water, a million things are going through your head. You're thinking, you know, I got hit in the chest by a piece of rebar in the water right out there. And the water was so brown and murky, I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. It was about that color right there. It was 84 degrees, so no wetsuits to help with buoyancy. It was gross. I'll never swim the Ohio River again. But the point is this, there was a problem here. And after I got past that point, my wife said they actually stopped the race to get a racer out of the water. And then they started the race again. And it was only 2 days later when I was home that I heard from my friend Lou. He said, hey, I heard you were in that race. Is that where that guy from Buffalo died? And I went, what are you talking about? I had no idea. As an athlete, they didn't tell you somebody died in the race. Mark actually passed away in the race. He actually, they thought he drowned. It was actually a massive heart attack he had right there, and then they pulled him out of the water. Now, let's go back and have a look at this. Critical mistake analysis. When I read the national media report on this, they said, it's an amazing thing, these endurance athletes, they are weekend warriors, they go out and they don't know they have an underlying heart condition and they try to do these activities, it's unsafe, you shouldn't do it. And I thought, what a negative thing to say. You just discouraged how many people from ever going out and trying one of the most amazing experiences of their life. But upon further investigation, I read a Buffalo News article where they actually interviewed the father, they interviewed Mark's father. And I'm going to list a couple of mistakes that could have been made, and then I'm going to tell you what Mark's dad said. So when you're doing open water swimming, for example, you've got to swim 4K in that race. So one of the mistakes you could make is maybe you don't swim 4K, maybe you only swim 3K and you don't make the time cutoff. That could be a mistake. Maybe you don't practice sighting, which means that you might swim off course and not make the finish line. Maybe you don't practice swimming in groups where you're not used to being swam over or being punched and kicked by feet on purpose, but it happens. And then I read this article from Mark's dad, and he gave two very important clues. He said, although Mark was an accomplished athlete, and although Mark had did all the training. This was Mark's first triathlon. First triathlon's an Ironman, okay? That's an interesting fluke. First try. He also said, although Mark was an accomplished swimmer, he hated open water swimming. This was Mark's first open water swim. Call that open water. Now, critical mistake analysis. What does this look like? Oh, this pen works.
There's another one there too.
So if we look at these three items here, this is cost, this is frequency, and this is trainability. So what is the cost of this mistake? If you only swim 3K in your training, right? All of a sudden you might fizzle out a little bit and you might have a slow time. Is that a low cost? Yeah, that's low. That doesn't mean I'm going to have severe major consequence. So we'll call that low. Sighting, yeah, make it off course, might take me a little bit longer. That's low. Swimming in groups, I might get my goggles kicked off. That would be problematic. We'll call that a medium one because that could be a problem, an issue in the water if you can't get your goggles cleared out. First triathlon, what could happen in a triathlon? Guess what? People die, right? So we're going to call this one first triathlon, never been doing a triathlon before picking an Ironman. That's a high consequence if things go wrong. Never open water swimming before. That's high because you don't learn how to do panic attack recovery. If you don't know how to do those things, you might have a panic attack, not catch your breath, you might have a heart attack in the water, which is exactly what happened here. So what's the frequency of this event? What are the frequency of these mistakes? Well, maybe you only swim 3K 3 days a week, and 2 days a week you actually do swim 4. Okay, we're going to call that a low frequency, not very high. Sighting, yeah, you know what, you should practice it more, but it's kind of a low activity as well. Swimming in groups, if you don't do it enough, we're going to call that one a medium one. First triathlon, frequency, not having practiced doing a triathlon before, bad mistake, that's a high consequence. Not ever trying to do any open water swimming, that's a high consequence. Now, trainability. Can this problem be fixed with training? You can't fix stupid. Let's just remember that. So that would be a low trainability. If you're the type of person who goes off, a guy did this a couple years ago, his swim buddies, packed in for the night, he decided to go for a couple kilometer swim in a wetsuit on a perfectly clear night, caught a wave of water, got into his lungs, and even though he got a wetsuit on, it's very buoyant, down to the bottom of the lake, he might drown. So, when I look at consequences, you can't train stupid. All the training in the world, all the good stuff you could have done, wouldn't have fixed the decision you made that night to go out and swim by yourself. So when I think of these things, consequences or trainability, I think, is it a stupid thing and they're just not going to learn it, or is it something that training could actually fix? So 3K, is it stupid? No. Is it something that's fixable? Sure, I can probably fix that. Sighting, is that something that's fixable? Sure it is. That's obviously, we're going to call that high, because I can fix that one easy. Swimming in groups, get in a group more and swim, easily fixed. First triathlon, hey, do a few beforehand in your training, get used to the idea, and probably can eliminate that as a risk. So that's high trainability. Open water swimming, do enough of it, you get comfortable in it, high trainability. So when you look at the 3 H's, which one of these have 3 H's? Oh, here and here. These are the 2 critical mistakes that Mark made, okay? These are the 2 reasons why Mark passed away that day. His outcome was to become an Ironman. He didn't experience the outcome because there was a problem in his training. So when you apply this methodology to your diet, to your exercise, I'm going to share with you how we can apply that in a second in a more practical way. But I wanted to share this example with you because this is something that the training industry uses globally. It's critical mistake analysis. It is a very powerful tool to look at what you're doing, what are the mistakes I'm making, how critical are they, and am I actually going to get the outcome that I wanted, or am I just wishing that I'll get that outcome? Okay, this is an important step.